Hello, this conference presentation is provided by Kylie Ferrantino, Elizabeth Panzica, and Santa Swanson for LIS 581, Management of Libraries and Information Agencies, Spring 2026. The topic we will be focusing on today is community engagement, specifically building relationships with partnerships, programming, and marketing. After viewing this presentation, library management and staff will be able to conduct a community asset map to identify and prioritize high-impact partnerships that align with their library's mission. This includes establishing a shared framework for accountability and mutual benefit to ensure long-term sustainability beyond a single event. Apply principles of human-centered design to co-create library programs with community members rather than for themselves. Leaders will learn to integrate equality, diversity, and inclusion (EDI) lenses to ensure programming authentically reflects and reaches underserved populations. Develop a compelling impact narrative that uses project outcome data to translate library activities into community-wide benefits. This allows leaders to advocate more effectively to stakeholders by demonstrating how library engagement addresses specific local challenges like workforce development or civic literacy. The two professional competencies that are highlighted in this presentation are collaboration and partnership and communication skills. The Library and Information Science Education Network provided this quote: "Community engagement in libraries involves actively involving community members in library services, programs, and decision-making to meet shared goals and address local challenges. It is more than providing access to books or digital resources. It focuses on creating inclusive spaces, fostering dialogue, and developing partnerships with local organizations, residents, and stakeholders to strengthen social cohesion and promote literacy and lifelong learning. Key principles of community engagement include listening to community voices to understand needs and aspirations, collaborating with local organizations to provide resources and support, empowering individuals to participate in library programs and initiatives, building social connections and a sense of ownership within the community. Collaborating with community organizations may offer new perspectives and resources to the library community."
This is Santa, and I will be sharing more about community partnership. As a library professional who wants to build relationships with the community your library is in, when you approach this goal from the perspective of how you can communicate well and how you can collaborate with like-minded community organizations, you're going to be modeling how to spearhead the transformation of the library into a community hub. You can do this through partnership strategic planning. You can conduct a community asset map with your team and identify high-value, high-impact partnerships that align with your library's mission and share common goals. You can establish a shared accountability framework so you can sustain mutual benefit over the long term. As you think about how to form partnerships with the community and how to start strategic planning, as the leader and manager of the library, you are the one who casts the vision for this transformation. Brown tells us that engaging with your community starts by engaging with your team, by communicating with them where the library can go and what it can be. As their leader, you delegate community exploration. You lead discussions about potential partnership destinations. You brainstorm with your team to design and allocate what research will tell you what you need to know about them. And you send individuals out into the field to ask questions and conduct interviews with the people and places you've deemed may be relevant. As a leader, you can and should also embed yourself into community organizations. For example, by serving on a board that impacts an aspect of community life or volunteering with local committees. Dewey calls this a strategic collaboration, and it effectively gives you the insider view of the organizations you're serving with and their practices, as well as allowing you to be the face of the library out in the community. As you gather information about the community, you identify community needs and look at the data that pertains to them. What do various organizations bring to the table? Every community has different needs. Bogino describes some common broad-based needs: increase information literacy, knowledge, increase access, or decrease barriers. And these are just a few. The data you gather in your community exploration is going to drive how you evaluate potential ideas for partnerships. Ask yourself, how high value is an organization going to be as, say, a long-term partner? Conducting a community asset map at this point helps you identify and prioritize the possible high-impact partnerships and enables you to fully frame out your strategic plan. You're going to look for partners that have common goals with your library's goals and makes it easy to design a clear pathway to the outcomes you both want to see achieved. Library leader, you have the responsibility to abide by the policies and procedures of the library, and community partnerships are included in this. The outcomes of a partnership also need to be aligned with the goals set by the library board. Any grantors that may be involved in supporting community partnerships will want to be brought in at the early stages so they can see for themselves that they are supporting a good partnership. As you establish partnerships, build a shared accountability framework. Structuring your partnership this way helps with communication for clarity, check-ins for accountability, a contract as a well-written agreement, commitment to all parties' goals, and helps productive change in response to challenges. Holmes points out that this increases the potential for the partnership to last and benefit the community over an extended period of time instead of it being just one event. Your strategic plans help you reach goals of working and helping others work, making data-driven decisions, maintaining great communication, and learning and exhibiting flexibility and working around challenges. Following is a slide with added resources on partnerships, and next, Elizabeth will be talking about library programming.
Hello, this is Elizabeth Hanzika, and I will be discussing library programming in relation to community engagement. Deborah Robertson said, library mission statements generally refer in some way to continuous education or lifelong learning. Aiding in education is central to the purpose of libraries of all types. In many ways, the case for cultural programming is the case for the library itself. Libraries exist for a public good. They benefit all equally. They are uniquely qualified to deliver information and make sense of it. By selecting, collecting, organizing, preserving, and making available the material effects of culture, librarians make libraries the most viable of venues for cultural programming. Through live lectures, book and film discussions, author and artist events, traveling exhibitions, and other cultural programs, libraries foster community dialogue. Whether it is starting a program from scratch or expanding on an already existing program, the programming can help bridge the gap between individuals that don't usually interact or introduce library goers to new groups within their community that they would be interested in interacting with. Programs such as exhibitions, educational programs, community outreach, and digital initiatives can be used as a way to bring many different groups from the community into the library space. If people see their local library promote programming that fits their needs or interests, they will feel more inclined to reach out, get involved, and continue to see the library as a space they can come and use as a resource. Robertson said, in today's online world, libraries and their buildings remain places of contact, community, and culture. Communities need places offering programs that both reflect and expand their interests. Audiences need places where they are made to feel welcome and comfortable. Writers, artists, performers, scholars, and other makers and employers of culture need places where they can share their work in person and also have their work collected, supported, and interpreted. Individuals need places to bring their curiosity, questions, and aspirations. Brandon Hoff says programming helps to illuminate the experiences, beliefs, and values that unite us as human beings. They stimulate us to make connections where we noticed none before, between our ancestors and ourselves, between one culture and another, between the community and the individual. Tips for creating and maintaining programs. Deborah Robertson said, whether you are already in the midst of making your library the center for community and cultural programming, or envisioning what your library could and will be, setting goals and objectives will clarify your thinking and communicate your intent, provide a map and reference through managing changes, enable you and others to evaluate, and complete the planning cycle for the future. Try to make the programming as interactive as possible. This is a way to keep all participants invested and interested in the activities being provided. Eric Edwards said, "Sometimes requiring registration is necessary, particularly if a library has limited space and supplies available. On the other hand, allowing anyone who happens to be in the library to participate can create a more spontaneous, less structured environment conducive to creativity, which draws more attendees. Try to avoid programs that will cost participants money. Programming that costs anything to join may not be possible for some individuals or discourage others from joining. Librarians and staff should be open to feedback on certain aspects of programs being run. After all, these programs are designed for the users in mind, so they should have a say in how their programs are being run. Be willing to adapt. Collect data from library goers in the form of questionnaires, interviews, observations, or activity reports. This will ensure the patrons' voices are heard and that the programs created are catered to user wants and needs. Know your library community, listen to your library community, make an impact, design programs for all users, use staff as presenters, and bring in presenters other than library staff. Tips and tricks for facing challenges within programs. A challenge for creating programs is making initial connections with outside sources or communities. Moore, Norman, and Baxter said, social media, emails sent out about certain interests, promotional flyers could be a way to get people involved and interested in starting collaborations within communities outside of the library. Despite their efforts, many libraries, both public and special, suffer from low public engagement, lack of planned outreach, and ineffective marketing strategies, while institutional reluctance, limited staffing, and inadequate funding hamper outreach efforts. Therefore, the importance of outreach, partnerships, and diverse programming is emphasized to attract broader audiences. Success can be achieved through effective assessment and evaluation to measure impact, while collaboration and funding are key to sustaining public engagement initiatives. Scheduling a program at the right time and at the right length to garner enough attendees and keep their interest can be tricky. Consider offering the same program on different days, different times, and even in different months. Having a secondary time may bring in individuals who might not normally come to the library programs due to the time constraint. Making behavioral expectations clear beforehand will help avert any uncomfortable situations. Icebreaker activities can help people feel more comfortable putting themselves out there and get participants of the program communicating. Even if the program seems like it may not take off, don't give up on it easily. Try to rework it, look for feedback and suggestions to try and make it better for the intended participants.
This is Kylie Ferrantino, and I'll be presenting on how advocacy and marketing can strengthen community engagement in libraries. I'll cover an overview of advocacy, how data can guide outreach, and strategies for sustaining meaningful engagement with the communities we serve. Libraries cannot rely on passive service models. To effectively serve our communities, we need to actively reach both current and potential users, making services visible and accessible. Advocacy connects our programs to tangible community needs, whether supporting literacy, workforce development, or access to information. Visible engagement builds trust and positions libraries as essential community resources. Clear communication of this value, along with strategic partners with local organizations, extends the library's reach and ensures programming aligns with community priorities. Advocacy begins with understanding the community. Using surveys, local statistics, and patron feedback helps identify service gaps, underserved populations, and areas where programs can make the most impact. But data alone isn't enough. Pairing quantitative insights with stories of program outcomes, like how library workshops improve skills, expand access, or boost confidence, makes advocacy messaging more compelling. Collaborating with community members to interpret this data ensures programs are responsive and relevant. For example, libraries might adjust program timing, format, or content based on patron input, or identify community partners to extend reach. This approach ensures that programs are equitable and address real needs, and they can also be clearly communicated to stakeholders and funders. Libraries can have strong programs, but impact fades if engagement isn't sustained. Continuously connecting with your community ensures that programs remain meaningful, attract consistent participation, and strengthen the library's role as a trusted community resource. Sustained engagement also demonstrates ongoing value to stakeholders, funders, and partners. To achieve this, focus on belonging, relevance, and genuineness. For belonging, it fosters environments where patrons feel welcome, valued, and included. Inclusive programming creates safe spaces for dialogue, and interactive events help build these relationships. Relevance makes sure programs respond to real community needs, interests, and challenges. Gathering ongoing feedback ensures that services remain aligned with literacy initiatives, workforce development, and cultural priorities and local interests. Genuineness acts on community feedback by adjusting programs, partnering with local organizations, and showing that patron input is valued. This strengthens trust and encourages ongoing participation. Applying these principles helps libraries create lasting, mutual, beneficial relationships with their communities. When leaders communicate impact clearly and collaborate strategically, libraries sustain engagement, build long-term support, and reinforce their position as essential hubs for learning, culture, and connection. Library leaders can strengthen their communities by identifying and building high-impact partnerships that align with the library's mission. Using tools like community asset maps, leaders can prioritize collaborations that provide mutual benefit and long-term sustainability beyond a single program or event. Designing programs with community input ensures they are inclusive, interactive, and responsive to real needs. Applying human-centered design and integrating equity, diversity, and inclusion principles helps programming authentically reflect the community, fostering belonging, relevance, and continued participation. Collecting feedback and measuring outcomes allows libraries to create compelling impact narratives. These narratives translate program results into community-wide benefits, helping leaders advocate effectively to stakeholders, demonstrate value, and sustain engagement over time.